a little bit about the ViWoods AiPaper, and I did talk to the company just to find out the correct pronunciation. One thing I never like to do is to pronounce something incorrectly, so I reached out to the company. I said, could you give me the proper pronunciation? They referred me to a video that they had made on some of the different features, and it ends up that that is ViWoods. So for those of you who weren't sure, like I wasn't sure, that's a little bit of history on kind of how their name is pronounced. And I've been working with that device the last couple of days at work. And I recorded kind of a knee-jerk video and then decided not to publish it because there were certain frustrations I ran into with the device, and I just want to be fair to it. And what I don't want to do is put something out there that doesn't really accurately convey what the device has going on and the important features that it does have. So I've been really working hard to try to dig into the device, learn more about it, and relying on some other people who have the device as well and asking their input just to make sure that what I'm doing is consistent and fair. So if there are any questions you do have, let me know right now in the chat. Again, I show there's only one of us right now concurrently viewing, but feel free to pop in with anything. I am going to go ahead and jump on over and look at the device real quick. Let's go ahead and turn this on. And you all should be able to be seeing the device now. There we go. And so here's the device. And one thing with the organization on this device that's a little bit different is that, I'll go ahead, the fingerprint reader sometimes reads and sometimes doesn't. It's a little bit harder for me to be able to actually, I guess the best way to say this is kind of separate out what is private versus what is part of my actual work. So what I've had to do is I have to really be careful not to show certain things on the live stream or on a video. I found out that was a big problem when I was trying to record that initial video yesterday, that my work information was showing on the screen, and I'm still kind of learning how to blur and how to do some other things. And I didn't want that information to be public. So that's another reason that I chose not to go ahead and put this out there, that video I made yesterday. Primarily, I didn't want to show information, but also I wanted to be fair, like I said earlier, to the company. I don't want to put out something based on initial reactions that may not be accurate, because that's, hey, Tim, how are you? Good to see you. Was hoping that I would be able to get the chat to go into OBS here, but it's giving me, or not OBS, this is Meld Studio, so we're testing out Meld Studio a little bit. So Tim, let me know. We've got some testing going on, trying out some different things. Haven't had I've only used this once before, but I've heard there have been a lot of upgrades, and I just wanted to see what all the hubbub was about. This probably won't be a long live stream, primarily just, like I said, testing it to see what we can get going and what will work. But we're looking at the ViWoods a little bit here, primarily because I want to give it a little bit of coverage, but also try not to, say anything overly negative with just a few days of use. There have been some frustration points. I mentioned earlier in the live stream before people joined that some of it had been I recorded what I would term a knee-jerk reaction video yesterday and then decided not to publish that. because just because I hit a frustration point or just because I hit something on a device, it doesn't mean necessarily that that device is bad. So I want to make sure that what I'm doing is giving it a fair hearing and making sure that it's uh, working correctly, but also that I'm doing the right things and not having any undue misconceptions on the device. So if you have some questions, I'd be happy to kind of dive into that. I will give you that my overall impressions are that if you are a first time e-ink user and you don't have um, a very well defined file structure already, this could be a very important device for you. Or not very important, but it could be a very good device for you in that it provides, and I'm going to try and go to my homepage here, and let me pop over here, and we'll get out of that so that I can show the actual home screen here. So if you look at the home screen, there are a lot of different things going on here. And if you are someone who's not overly structured, this can give you some of that structure. So they have basically two different types of meeting types. They have paper, and paper isn't even meetings. I wouldn't even say that. They have two different kinds of note types. And one is paper. So think of paper as kind of uh, for thoughts, journaling, writing down different concepts, longer form writing, maybe blogs, maybe different postings, something like that. Something you really want to take some time to write. To me, that's paper. And that's about getting your thinking down. And Tim, thank you for the question. As far as how it compares to the Supernote in regard to exporting files, it really doesn't. And the reason that I say that is because it doesn't really have what I would call a very good app interface. The app interface itself, and let me see if I can pull that up here. Like I said, I'm very much, this is on the fly. So let me see if I can add another source here real quick. Display capture. Let's pop this over and we'll see if I can get this up. Yep. All right. So you should be seeing here the display of the screen now. So this is what ViWoods thinks is kind of not what they think it is. This is their version of what I'm calling an app. When I went back and forth and talked to the company, they said that this was that they were kind of confused on what I meant by having an app. And I think I get that. For them, they understand, uh, or the way they communicated it to me was that this works with Google Drive, it works with OneDrive, it works with all of your popular document sync, backup storage solutions. And that's how they saw that as being how the files would move. But what they also offer you is this interface. The problem with this, for me, is that basically what you do is you upload your files either via QR code or by pulling them into this web interface, and then that will sync to the device. And then once you have it on the device, of course, you can do what you want with it, and then you can export it off of the device. The problem with that, and I would say kind of a big issue with that, is that that doesn't always save all of your changes. It isn't as user-friendly as what we're used to seeing on the Supernote devices or the BOOX devices. I would say Supernote is probably the best at getting things off of the device. BOOX is a very close second. Again, a lot of that has to do with my use case and the way that I get it off of the device. All of them are very good at PDFs, but this one only gives you two really good ways to get information off of the device, primarily as a PDF or a PNG that's universal. In some cases, and if we go back here to, let me get rid of this, and if we go back over here to the device itself, that's where we get back to this interface question. And um, and all in her movements, welcome. Again, we're doing a test on Meld Studio tonight. So we're just kind of free forming it and letting things go. Um, I don't understand how people like the Supernote partner app. Documents won't all sync and it's slow, missing features like scan. I think all in her movements, that's true, although the new beta does allow you to scan through the app. So one thing to know about the new beta on the Supernote device is that it now allows you to scan from the app. So you'll be able to take a picture. You actually can take a picture of a PDF and it'll do OCR and it'll recognize those characters and pull that in. So again, that's something that's coming, but the Supernote partner apps actually work very well unless you're doing multiple devices at the same time or really, really close together. I haven't had a lot of the problems some folks have. And let's go ahead and flip back over real quick and we'll kind of talk through this and then we can come back to the ViWoods here in a minute. But let me go ahead and pop this over. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully you all can see me now. And again, I'm getting used to Meld Studio a little bit. The chat didn't come in like I thought it would. But yeah, they have addressed this idea of being able to scan your documents in with the new Supernote partner app on Android, at least. They haven't done it for iOS yet. They've rolled the beta out to Windows and to Android first, and then they're working on development for iOS and Mac. And that includes also the brand new digest tool, which is a complete redesign of the digest, which now syncs across the partner apps as well as on the device. So I think that Supernote, even though BOOX has some of the same functionality, it's not the best app in the game, at least by my estimation of it. But Remarkable probably is the absolute leader when it comes to flawless app performance. That would be my take on it. But take that for what it's worth. That's from somebody who's been living and breathing the Supernote for 4 years. So I know that device extremely well. I've seen where the app started, and the cloud app actually on the website is not near as good as the desktop and mobile versions are. And they are coming along very nicely, especially with this new beta. So thanks for that question. I do want to pop back over again, though, here to the demo because I want to talk really quickly back to this point on the ViWoods about how I think that this could be really valuable for people who are trying to first maybe don't have a structure. So maybe you're not the most organized person. Maybe you're just starting out organizing. And of course, that's kind of what my channel's all about, is getting organized and being able to be productive. And if you go into this device with that mindset, Tim, I don't know the answer to that question. I know you asked, does it sync between the Mini and the AiPaper? I will find that out when I do a longer review. I don't have both devices. I'll have to probably pull in some help or ask the company if it syncs between the two. From just looking at that partner app, I wouldn't think so, or I shouldn't even say partner app, that web interface, I don't think that it would. It doesn't appear like it's going to sync between the two devices, but I could be wrong. And I don't want to give you wrong information, obviously. What I want to do is kind of give you some first thoughts, some first impressions, while still, as I mentioned at the outset, being fair to the company. And so that does come back again to this idea of paper and meetings. And paper, again, is for that deep thought, those writing reflections, blog articles, long, deep writing, maybe journaling, something like that. It's not really what I would feel like for quick notes, but you could use it as that a little bit because you can scan all of this into, or I should say you can attach all of this to the daily, which is what they call their calendar. And either meetings or paper can be attached there. Now, they serve two totally different kind of constituencies. And I did a little bit on this in the unboxing, but I've learned a little bit more about it. And today during a meeting, I used the AI functionality, which is much better in the meeting than it is in paper. Even though you're in a note in both places, if you go and you tell the meeting app to generate meeting minutes, if you have written down a date, if you've written down a time, if you've written down attendees, it's going to crawl that information, as many pages as you have, and it's going to go through and actually create minutes, which was really interesting and really cool to me, including the action agenda items. So all of the things that I mentioned that I took down as notes in that meeting, it turned into actionable follow-up items. That to me is where the power of this device really lies, is being able to use, whether it's ChatGPT-4, whether it's DeepSeek Research, whatever model you choose, to really take action on your information. Now, what it doesn't do is in paper, you can't use that functionality the same way. And, that's a little frustrating in some ways. In the daily, which is their calendar, you can put tasks in and you can turn those. You can use AI to organize those. You can use AI to send yourself an email. You can complete them all and ask it to send an email. And it will say, here are the things I did today, and give kind of a snapshot. And you can email that to maybe your boss or maybe someone else who's working on a project with you. So just some different functionalities that are really cool, but don't exist in paper. In paper, all you can do is one page at a time on the AI, and it doesn't take any action on that data. So that's a little different for me. And also, there's no file structure in meetings. So meetings are not the same as what paper is. In paper, you have a folder structure that you can manipulate a little bit, but you can't manipulate at the root level. Excuse me. Now, one thing you can do, which I find really, really interesting about this device, is you can, well, let me talk a little bit more about this. Let me go into a paper and kind of show you the toolbar. And this is a blog I'm writing, which has a whole lot of different information, and I'm taking very detailed notes. You can see I'm up to, I think, 9 pages already with the different pen styles and different things like that. But if you look at the toolbar over here, you're going to notice you get 2 pens, you get your eraser tool, you get a text tool, you get your AI, and if you go to AI, you'll see that you can open the assistant, you can add some custom, you can do a text conversion. This is saying you can generate an email now, so that may have updated, and then you can analyze content. But what it won't do is if you generate the email, I don't believe... Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, see, it only does 1 page. So that was the limitation here. You would have to do 1 page at a time, whereas in the Meetings app, it asks you just this page or all pages. So I think that's a really, it's a limitation because, like, for example, if I was wanting to have someone take a look at this right here that I've been using or that I've been writing. So let's say I wanted to send this to Rod or Aaron, It's About Tech or 2530 Media, or David over at Tablet Tech, and said, hey guys, take a look. Tell me if I'm off base. If I'm getting something really wrong here, I could theoretically turn this whole thing into an email and have it, with some tweaking, sent directly from the device to whoever I wanted it to go to. So again, a really cool function, but I don't understand Why in meetings I can do that, here I can't. There's also no analysis of the entire note, only analysis of one page. So, Tim, I wish I could answer your question about the sync between devices. I'll ask around and I'll ask ViWoods, as a matter of fact, if that's a thing. From looking at the interface, I don't see that as a thing, but it's not 100% intuitive. I'm not 100% happy with this nib either, or with this stylus. I know Aaron at 2530 Media actually likes the stylus a lot. I don't. I have been using my Norris Digital Jumbo, and this is so much better for me. The rubber nib on this screen works works much better, and it writes more clearly than the other one, at least to me. I don't miss the button because I don't really use the button as much. And this eraser actually feels more like a real eraser when you're erasing, and is much more accurate to write with. So I've actually enjoyed the writing experience on this device with this particular pen, or with this stylus. I really do enjoy it. And like I said, you'll see I have a ton of stuff here, but you get more friction this way. And I do like the calligraphy pen. It doesn't look like my writing at all, but it just feels better. And the anti-aliasing on here does a good job of, it flashes a little, which you have to get used to, but once you do, it really does a good job. The latency is excellent on this device. The screen brightness, I would actually argue, might be the best out there. It and the Manta have the same screen, but somehow in how they calibrated this, it just feels brighter. That may not be the case, just because there's also this lighter color bezel around the side. But that's the feeling you get. You feel when you pull this device out and start writing on it that it's very much not paper, but really, really white and really nice to write on. Like I said, some of the functionalities, it does have straight lines. It also has shape recognition. So it has some tools that the Supernote doesn't have. It has some tools that the Supernote does have. It has straight lines. It doesn't have shape recognition. Remarkable and BOOX both have shape recognition, but there's no shape tool. There's no fill tool. So it doesn't have that as far as the way BOOX is concerned. The tags are very difficult. So you can create these tags, but they're only at the page level. And then if you go to search, which I can't really do right now because I have work stuff on here and I don't want to show anything from work tonight. You can search within paper, you can search within meetings, but to search globally, you have to go all the way out to the home screen and then hit the search button. And there it gives you all of the tags, but you can't really filter by the tags at the global level. You can within each of the apps, but you can't otherwise. So it's just a little bit of a user experience learning curve. I'm going to turn on my home button here. So we've gone through kind of paper and meetings. Learning is books, EPUBs, PDFs you want to bring in. You can also bring in PDF templates to paper. Pickings are screenshots, or if you're using another app, I guess the closest I could compare this to would be something like global handwriting on BOOX, or global handwriting on BigMe, or FreeMark on BOOX. But again, I don't know if that's exactly what they're going for. Their email is extremely fast, the integration. I will give them that. It works very similar to how Supernote works, but it's much faster. So when I go to send an email on here, it is really, really quick. And then you have apps. And I've installed nothing on here. I did enable Google Play only because it made me do that to be able to test Drive. But as far as the Play Store, I haven't downloaded anything. Their apps actually come with quite a few options already. Most of what I would use is already on here. So there's Kobo, there's Kindle, Libby's on here, right here. I think I might have downloaded, yeah, I downloaded one app. I downloaded Barnes and Noble's, but from their app store, not from Google Play. So it's really kind of a cool thing. Uh, but um, but yeah, what other questions do you have? I'm going to hop off of here in just a couple of minutes. I just wanted to try out. Also, let me know what you think of Meld Studio. What do you think of this interface? Again, hopefully next time I'll have this planned out a little bit better and I'll be able to get the chat working. It made me authenticate, but for some reason it's not bringing in my chat. uh, so I don't know what that problem is. Let me get back over here to the discussion. And Tim says, thank you. Trying to find a comb. Thinking about Nomad and Manta. Oh, a combo is probably what that's supposed to be. So trying to find a combo. Thinking about Nomad and Manta, but wondered if WeWoods was a possible alternative. Any other possibilities you'd recommend? Well, if you're looking in that form factor, I would say Books is a good alternative. The problem is they don't really have a device in this size category of the Nomad and the WeWoods. You would have to go with an older device for that, or you would have to go up in size. So I think for me, I don't like the sub 10-inch devices, but that's a personal preference, and it's based on the work that I do. I would see something like the Go 10.3 and the Note Max as being an excellent combo, or the Manta and the Nomad if you want to go smaller. I don't think the Go 7 is the right size. It would be way too small for me. Aaron at 2530 Media has been daily driving the Go 7 for a while, but he's now using the WeWoods Mini. So he may have a little bit more to say about that. I'm not sure, though, that I'm not sure that if it doesn't sync, that would be very viable, though. That would be my only concern. Is that a viable way to work? For you, you have to know whether that would work or not. So I would definitely do my due diligence, and I will, like I said, reach out to the company and ask them whether or not these devices sync. I don't know that it does. But again, without having all of the devices, I can't really know for sure. But I would definitely, if you're willing to go, or if you're in a space where you're able to go to that kind of next level up, I would definitely consider something like the Note Max and the Go 10.3. I think those are two good devices. The sync between Books devices is reportedly excellent. Of course, I have the Note Air 4C, but I don't have any other Books devices, so I've never used that sync functionality between the two. But everyone I know, from Kit, Bets Masters, to Rod at Rantspout Tech, to Aaron at 2530 Media, anybody that I've ever talked to who uses the Books platform on the daily says that their sync is excellent between devices. And Supernote, as long as you're not running those devices like really close to one another, where your app is trying to sync with your device at the same time, or your other device is trying to sync at the same time as another device, you don't get near as many conflict files now. It tends to stop itself if there's another device syncing in progress, but you do get slowed down sometimes on that. But great question. I would definitely check those out. I wouldn't check out something like Big Me. I'm not a fan. I know Jeffrey Moss has done a lot on that. I have no idea what the syncing would be between them. But that's just, from the limited experience I have. Not really sure uh, where we would be with that. But great question, Tim. And anybody else, we're up to 9 concurrent viewers for this, jump on kind of impromptu live stream. I'm going to be ending it here in just a couple of minutes, but again, trying out Meld Studio. Don't understand why my chat isn't working, but I can see the chat. I just can't engage from Meld Studio, and I'm trying everything I can think of to get this to work. But I want to know, how's the video quality? Is the microphone coming through good? Did that look okay with you all? Be very interested to know uh, what your thoughts are on that. So just let me know. And those of you who did jump in, all in her movements, thank you so much for jumping in. Tim, thank you for jumping in. Really appreciate that. But I am holding off any kind of judgment on this device. There are some frustration points, things that are just kind of hidden. It's not hidden in menus like you would get on a BOOX device. It's actually the opposite. It's just things you don't know about unless you play around with it. Like the fact when you turn on the handwriting keyboard, you don't get a box to write in. And Aaron bailed me out on that one. You actually go to where the cursor is and you just write. And you can actually write anywhere on the screen. And when you write, it then reads what you wrote and puts it where it's supposed to be. Kind of a cool feature, actually, once I knew about it. So instead of writing in this box at the bottom, I'm writing where it's going to translate it to text. Kind of cool, but also limits like the available space just because you're trying to fit it in this small little area, maybe to retitle something instead of a larger box. So it makes you conscious of that, and maybe it makes you write not as fluidly, or you try to rush, or you try to condense, because it does convert fairly fast and it doesn't have like a lengthening of that time frame. So that's one thing I've noticed. The tags being only page level. There's no headings functionality in this. You can't search the text. You can only search headings and file names, basically, and in some cases, the tags. And then, of course, you can favorite notebooks and other things like that. But I really think if you're not kind of set in your ways like I am with your organizational structure, and you're coming into a device fresh and you don't mind doing the legwork, which I will do some other videos on how each of these apps fully functions. If you come in and you kind of say, you know what, I am going to, let's jump over here real quick. And instead of, we'll go ahead and show this web interface again. But if you can kind of put your head around, paper is for long form writing. The daily is your calendar, quick notes, to-dos, things like that. All of those in the daily, AI can take action on, which is really cool. Meeting is all about meetings, and that's what it's about. It's not about anything else. It's not about writing up proposals. It's not about any of that. It's about meetings. Learning is all about your reading and taking notes on different things, such as PDFs and EPUBs. That's where that lives. That's in learning. Pickings is all about quick notes on the fly, and or I take that back, screenshots and being able to use handwriting on other devices. I think that if you can get your head around all of that, and you can say, I'm going to live in this ecosystem and I'm going to use these tools and this tool set for what it was designed for, this could be a really powerful device. You just have to know how each of these apps functions. And I want to be really clear that I'm not saying that this is wrong, what they've done. I'm just not sure yet whether I can end up incorporating my file structures and my way of doing things to it. Thanks for that, Tim. Tim is saying my sound has been a bit choppy. So I'm going to have to look into that. That was actually happening in OBS as well. So I appreciate you letting me know. And I'll kind of watch this back and see what is going on there, because I'm showing gain is fine. And, but thanks a lot, Tim, for letting me know, because it is a test run. And maybe I need to figure out what is going on with the wavelength software, because I've got an excellent connection and I've got really good uh, hardware. At least it should be really good hardware. Well, anyway, everybody, this was, like I said, a very quick hop on, show you a couple of things, let you know the jury is still out on this device. I'm going to be working with it. I've been working with it the last several days. I'm going to take it back to work tomorrow, and I'm going to put it through its paces again. I've got a very long meeting tomorrow, so I'm going to go through, I'm going to take notes on that and everything, and then I'm going to use that meeting minutes feature again to see whether or not how it incorporates that and how it encapsulates everything. And we'll go from there and, be able to get that taken care of. Alex, thank you very much. Hopefully we can figure out if there are issues, what that is on the sound. It could have been me moving the microphone too, because I was switching my main cameras here. The demo is over here. I am working. I ordered something off of Amazon Prime Days. I ordered the Elgato prompter, so I may use my fancy new multi. I can't think of the name of it now. Trey bought it for me. The multi mount. So the Elgato multi mount with the flex on. To get my setup streamlined a little bit more, maybe get the prompter in the middle so it's a little bit easier for me to capture. But at the same time, thank you all for being here. The stream will be up on replay. If you haven't checked out my other videos, please do so. Like, subscribe, anything you can do down in the bottom. If you want to use my affiliate links and shop Prime Day, that would be awesome as well. Check out the website. But thanks everybody for hopping on this quick impromptu live stream, and I will catch you on the next one. And until next time, keep on moving forward. Talk to you all soon. Bye now.